What's going on, guys? So a couple months back I did a video talking about how I caught my personal best, and then a lot of you guys seem to like the full story of how it actually all went down. So today I'm going to bring up another story that I thought was actually pretty cool when it all happened, and that was the time that I accidentally boat flipped a 9-pounder. So if you guys are ready, let's get right into the story. Okay, so the story is set in October of 2017. Now, 2017 was the best year of bass fishing I've ever had in my life. I started the year catching a personal best in February, the fish that you guys saw in that video. If you guys haven't checked out that video, I will leave a link to it somewhere up here in one of those spots. You guys can check out the full story of my personal best. A little bit later, a couple days later, my buddy caught his personal best. Phoenix caught like an 8.5 as well. So we started off the year pretty strong, and then pretty much through post-spawn to summer to like early fall, I was catching a lot of 7-pounders. Like, it seemed like every trip I was going out, I could catch a 7-pounder. And like, before I had never really gotten into that caliber of fish out here, so it felt really good. So I was pretty much having the year of my life. Fast forward to early fall, we kind of transitioned from your standard kind of glides like the high power Swimbaits gliding gizzard, the Clash 9, and I started to notice that they were feeding on bluegill up on top of the water in anywhere around rocky areas that would kind of drop off fairly fast. I would see them early morning popping the gnats on the water, and I was like, okay, they might be switching over from chasing shad to eating these bluegills. So I started picking up bluegill style swim baits. So the two baits that I picked up, one being a Matt Lure's Magnum hardgill. It is his biggest hardgill that he makes. It's 8 inches long, so it's got a pretty big profile to it. And the second one that we were fishing, or personally that I was fishing, was the Hiroshima Godzilla. It's, again, a really big bait, super thick, 8 inches long. It's a pretty cool glide bait. So with those two baits always pretty much on deck, I was going out and I was catching fish on the regular. Now, at first, I wasn't catching, really giant fish. I was catching like 2 to 6 pounders on these baits, and it just seemed like, okay, what I'm doing is correct. And there was a time when I was out there that I'd caught 2 fish back to back on that rocky style bank, and I'm like, okay, I bet you if I find another bank on this lake just like this, I'll catch a fish. So I remember I was running down lake, and I just happened to remember a spot that it was like maybe a 30-yard stretch that had that kind of rock. I pulled over. I think it was like my second cast I caught a fish, and I was like, okay, like I got it dialed. I know exactly where these fish are. Let's keep jacking them. So I started catching fish like that. My buddy Phoenix came back out and started fishing with me again. He was catching fish on that stuff too. Yes! Yes! I got one on the Hiroshima Godzilla, baby. Hell yeah. Not a bad one. Front hook. Man, you came up from underneath and just smoked it. That was sweet. As I grab my shotgun and we go on a hunting trip. I don't know what I would do. Go on, dude. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? So it really was a fun time fishing those bluegill style swim baits. Now, fast forward to about mid-October, the fateful day comes. Me and Phoenix, we went out, we got up super early, we got to the lake super early. We ran all the way up the river on Canyon Lake. We started fishing, and we went probably a good 3 to 4 hours until we got a bite, and that was completely down lake. and I caught my first fish of that day on the Hiroshima Godzilla.
Oh gosh, nice one. Long and skinny fish. Thank you. Long, thank you so much. Yeah.
Beat up, post-spawn fish, trying to fatten up. This super beat up, long, skinny fish, like it looks super unhealthy, but it absolutely crushed that Godzilla. Honestly, I thought it was like a 6 or 7 pounder the way that it hit it, and when I hit it, I was like, oh yeah, dude, it's a solid fish. That's why I was screaming for the net from Phoenix. When it came up, I was like, oh, it's just a big head, skinny body fish, barrel hook, get it in the net. So there's that fish. So I was like, okay, we're starting to kind of catch some fish maybe again. So then we fish around the main lake in areas that I'd caught and fished before. Phoenix like a 5.5 on that mat lures, which was really cool. The way, unfortunately, the GoPro wasn't recording, but he was like, yo, I was just reeling it. I watched the bait, I did a little flare, and the fish came up and just crushed it. And I was like, bro, that's so sick.
All right, so this is my biggest one of the day. Just 5, right?
Yeah.
Straight 5. Pretty fish. Came off the mat lures, Magnum hardgill again.
And so I was like, okay, maybe it might be an afternoon bite and like an evening bite up the river now, and maybe main lake was better in the morning. You know, especially on like Canyon or Saguaro, those lakes have river systems where there's a main body of water and then it kind of snakes into pretty much a river that goes all the way up. Sometimes these river systems bite better in the morning, and sometimes they bite better in the evening. I remember I was talking to Phoenix, and I was like, dude, we might have to run all the way back up river. And I remember we kind of looked at the gas tank, and we were like, ugh, I know we can make it up there, but making it all the way back down might be a little sketch. But I said, I just had a feeling like, yo, I think we can catch some more fish if we go back up river. So we risked it. We got in the boat and we drove all the way back up river. And I think within the first 20 minutes up there, Phoenix catches this little fish on the mat lures.
This black and fried and bled. At the end of the day, go dude. On that. You sure? Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. Are you sure? At the end of the day, what were you talking about? At the end of the day, another day.
Another Canyon Lake swimbait bass. That's what that happened.
All right, what you got there, dude? All right, so this is the smallest one of the day, almost 4 pounds, like high threes. Today started off pretty slow. Didn't catch our first fish till about 12:30, and after that we just started. I wouldn't say banging them out, but we definitely got what we came here for.
So then I was like, okay, maybe that they're active. We had literally we had fished that same exact spot earlier in the morning and didn't get a fish. I'm like, okay, maybe they've moved back up here. Let's keep fishing down the stretch. So a good 30 or 35 minutes down the stretch, it is super shady now. Like the lighting, it's super dark now. And I remember when we were working down the bank, Phoenix was like, yo, I think you're going to catch a big one soon. I was like, nah, dude, there's no way. Like, maybe like a 4 or 5 pounder, but I don't think I'm going to catch like a big one. But Phoenix kept insisting that like, yo, I think you're going to catch a big one soon. I'm like, all right, whatever. And probably 2 or 3 casts later, I hook up again. Now, when I first hooked into that fish, I remember I was gliding the bait, and I felt like a tick, and I was like, that little half swing you see me kind of do here is like, oh snap, like, was that a fish? And then I feel like the slightest bit of head shake, and then that's what I really lay into the fish.
Oh my god. Come on. You need that? You need that? No, I'm good. You're good? Dude, yeah. Okay, it's right here. Right here.
And so then I start grinding in this fish, And this fish was on my mom's extra heavy swim bait rod. This rod is a broomstick, and I mean a broomstick. There's not a whole lot of bend in this rod. I had been fishing extra heavies for the longest of time, and I hadn't fished the extra heavy in a while. So when I hit this fish and I started reeling, and that's a Trinx 400 on that. So it's just a powerhouse of a setup that just crank. You have so much power with that setup. Now when I start, reeling it in, the fish comes up, kind of splashes on the water. And in my mind, I'm like, well, it's coming in fairly easily. It's probably like a 5 or 6 pounder. So Phoenix asked like, hey man, do you want the net? I'm like, no, I'm good. It's just like a 5 or 6 pounder. I'll just boat flip it or whatever. So then I grind. And as fast as it bit, it was already at the boat. And I tried to flip this fish that I thought was 6 pounds. And I vividly remember as soon I saw this fish come up, just like the white belly, and then the mouth comes up, and I'm like, oh snap.
Oh my god! It's a giant, dude! Okay, it's right here. Oh my god! It's a giant, dude!
There's no going back now, so I have to flip it now. I knew that I was barely hooked. That Godzilla weighs like 8 or 9 ounces, so it's a really heavy bait that a fish can easily shake. And obviously, as I flipped it, this fish shakes, opens its mouth, the bait goes flying, the fish just comes over the rail, it hits one of the seats, the driver's seat on the boat. Then what it does is it flops from the driver's seat to the middle seat, and there was a pattern going on that both me and Phoenix saw. We were like, dude, okay, it hit the driver's seat, hit the middle seat, it might just hit the third seat and bounce out. Like, there was so much momentum going with this fish, and this fish was so fired up, just flopping everywhere, that Phoenix, as you can hear in the video, is like, yo, I kicked it in. I kicked it in, dude.
Oh my god! Dude. I had to kick it back in.
I know.
Oh my god!
He legit had to kick the fish into the bottom of the boat I feel like if he didn't, the fish probably would have flopped out, and we would have never known how big that fish truly was.
Dude, that's a giant, dude.
I told you, dude.
Woo!
I fucking told you, bro.
Yeah!
I fucking told you.
Dude, let's go!
I fucking told you, bro.
Dude, that's a stud.
I just caught a fucking giant.
Dude, that's a
Stud.
dude, look at that one.
The situation that happened obviously was not meant to be like that. I didn't mean to boat flip a 9 pounder. I didn't mean for Phoenix to even kick the fish back in. That fish went through a lot of abuse, as you could probably tell. Felt super bad for that fish. Like, that fish got beat up just from trying to get in the boat. I never condone flipping fish over 6 pounds, just because you can easily do it, right? As you guys saw, that 9 pounder seemed like a breeze to flip. But it's in the safety of the fish is really what's going on through my mind. So obviously it wasn't the most ethical way to get the fish in the boat, but in the moment, it's just what we had to do. We take some videos of that fish, take some pictures of that fish. We weigh it way bigger than I thought. I honestly thought it was like an 8.5, but that fish was thick all the way down, big head, good belly on her, like super healthy fish. And I was just so stoked that I was able to catch that fish.
Whenever you're filming, I guess.
I'm filming.
Okay, guys. 9 pounds, 1 ounces. A freaking tank. This fish is so big and so heavy. I can't even believe this. Smoked my Hiroshima Godzilla. Man, dude, what a freaking tank this fish is. Absolutely gorgeous.
That's such a big fish.
It's a stud, dude.
So then it was finally at that time to let her go.
What a fucking tank. Goodbye. My love.
That was and still is the second biggest bass I've ever caught. So that year in 2017, I had caught 2 9s like 7 or 8 7-pounders that year. Like, it was an absolutely insane year, and a year that I'll probably never forget. And it's a year that I always reminiscing back on, because at that time in my life, you know, I was fairly young. I think I was like 19, 20 years old. I was, you know, had my best friend Phoenix still lived here. We had that boat. That boat had so much mojo to it, and I felt like I was really in groove with bass fishing back then, way more than I am now, it seems like. But obviously, things hit the fan in 2018 with the golden algae, and fishing has been tough ever since. Obviously, I still go out there and fish as much as I possibly can in hopes to, you know, catch that double-digit class fish. But it's definitely become a lot harder, but I'm still going out there learning, and hopefully another year like 2017 is hopefully to come soon again. So thank you guys ever so much for watching again, and as always, chase your dreams.